10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. There was a time when you turned on the news and you heard all about all the journalists that were embedded with the troops. Remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Journalists embedded with the troops.
Yes,
And I don't know if there was an ulterior motive to doing that on behalf of on the part of the news agencies, or if they were just trying to show us the realities of war. We've had guests on who were embedded journalists, and we've had guests on who were actually fighting those wars. Today we have both, and they both wrote a book together. It's called Shooting Ghosts. It is a U.S. Marine, a combat photographer, and their journey back from war. On the phone are both Thomas James Brennan. He is retired as a Marine. He was a sergeant in the U.S. Marine Corps, served in Iraq in the Battle of Fallujah, and a squad leader in Afghanistan's Helmand province with the 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, and it goes on and on and on. I don't want to take up the time with the intro. It's very, very long. And Finbarr O'Reilly is a combat photographer, spent more than a decade working in the Middle East and Africa. He's a recipient of the World Press Photo of the Year Award and, again, other accolades as well. Shooting Ghosts. Oh, my gosh. This... If you need a book for one reason or another to see what it's really like, this book really does cover it. It's a #1 new release on Amazon. It's getting 5-star reviews, and we're proud to be able to say good morning to both Thomas Brennan and Finbarr O'Reilly. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Where are you? Are you together? Where are you?
I'm in Ireland, actually.
I'm in North Carolina.
South Carolina and Ireland. Okay. I'm guessing, Mr. O'Reilly, you're in Ireland with the name.
Yeah, indeed I am. And this is in some ways indicative of our friendship. It started in Afghanistan, but a lot of it has taken place over oceans and across phone lines and internet.
So let me start with you, Finbarr, if I could. Did you enter into this career? I don't necessarily mean your relationship with Thomas Brennan, but did you enter into this part of your career with expectations of what you would see, and was it different when you actually saw what you saw?
Well, I'd been working as a photographer in Africa for a number of years, in Central Africa, mostly in Congo and Sudan and other countries around there. And I spent a lot of time covering conflicts as well as other stories. And the more I was exposed to the civil unrest and the war zones that I traveled in, the more I became interested in these kinds of stories elsewhere. And my initial attraction actually to Afghanistan was that there were Canadian forces there very much at the forefront of the fight against the Taliban in 2007. And I'm Canadian. I grew up in Canada, despite the Irish name. And I was curious what Canadian troops were doing there. I wanted to go and see it. So I asked my employers at the time, Reuters news agency, if I could sign up for one of the embeds with the Canadian troops. And that's what I did a number of times over a couple of years. And then I did subsequent embeds with the U.S. military, and then ultimately with the U.S. Marines and Thomas James Brennan squad. So yeah, it was a gradual progression, and what you expect and what you find often in these situations don't always correspond, but what I found was definitely interesting.
Look, the word shooting is interesting because it describes what a photographer does, and it also describes what a soldier does. Thomas, they say I can call you TJ. Is that right? You go by TJ?
Yeah, TJ Thomas. Now that I'm out of the military, I'm just happy to have a first name.
Happy to be back, right? So what was the experience different for you having a photographer with you?
I had a photographer. I'd had photographers, videographers, print journalists embedded with me in the past. Some good experiences, some bad. But I mean, Finbarr definitely broke the mold, and I think it's why we have the relationship that we do today. He was, from the get-go, he was concerned about getting our story right. He was dedicated to earning our trust, and like that set him apart from the beginning. So he came in planning for success.
Were you resentful at all in the beginning?
Initially, I did not want him around at all. It was just one more thing to worry about. Yeah. And at the time that he came to Afghanistan, I'd only been working with my Marines for a few weeks at that point, for some unforeseen circumstances. And then when you pile on a photographer on top of that, that's just a whole lot of... If he got hurt, it was going to be a ton of paperwork that I just didn't want to deal with.
Finbarr, I'm curious. There's a photo in the book that you took that documents TJ's first kill.
Well, that's not actually a photograph by me. That happened in Iraq in 2004. So that was taken, I think, by one of his fellow Marines at that time. I didn't meet him until Afghanistan in 2010.
Okay. Well, can I ask you a question, and then I'll go back to TJ? Did you witness anybody who did the first kill, and what did you see? I mean, what goes through a person when, even though they've trained for it for so long, when it actually happens, there's got to be an emotional response.
Oh, well, certainly that's a question for TJ because, me as a photographer, I'm just documenting what I see, and I don't know always what these guys have done in previous deployments, and even oftentimes when they're shooting, they may not know whether they've actually hit somebody in the middle of a firefight. Things are happening and unfolding, so they may be firing on a position, but they might not actually know. But Thomas can definitely speak to the question of, the emotional and moral implications of pulling the trigger.
Yeah, that was my intent to shift it over to TJ. I just was wondering from your perspective, and I'm not asking you to say more, but I was just wondering if I had been there and I had seen somebody who killed somebody for the first time. I think I would have not known what to do because I'm sure he's going through something. TJ, when that happened, did you have a support person with you? Was there somebody there who? I mean, what happened inwardly inside of you? I mean, I know you're doing your job, but you must have felt something.
I mean, as cliche as it may sound from a military perspective, really, at the time I pulled my trigger, the most intense feeling that I felt was the recoil of my weapon. It wasn't until afterward, a few minutes later, when you're looking at the body, the lifeless body of another person, when you really start to understand the magnitude of what you're going through. But then you have to figure that this was also Fallujah back in 2004. This was house-to-house fighting. You had to very quickly put things like that behind you.
It could have been you. I mean, they would have had no problem shooting you. So that's, I guess, the way we have to look at that. How does the book? The book is getting well received. I don't know if you guys know it already or not, but it is #1. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
According to Amazon, it's #1 under new releases in biographies of the Iraq War. It is actually at the #1 slot right now. So, and you're getting 5-star reviews. People who are reading it are giving you some really good feedback. Has it been out long enough that you've had letters actually sent to you giving feedback?
Yeah, it was released last week, and I've had quite a few emails, some from acquaintances and fellow journalists who have done the kind of work that I've had, that I've done. And I've received emails from people in the field of psychology and others who are parents, may have been part of the Holocaust in World War II. And people do start to get in touch, and I think it's still early days at the moment. But yes, there has been a lot of feedback, and a lot of it, all of it so far has been positive. So that's encouraging.
The book is called Shooting Ghosts. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to me. The rest of us have to go buy it. I did find it on Amazon. I'm guessing it's wherever books are sold. Do you guys have a website?
We do. It's called shootingghosts.com. And there's lots of information. A lot of the photographs are on there too. And Thomas also has a website. TJ?
Yes, so I run a nonprofit newsroom called The Warhorse. We're the only nonprofit newsroom focused on the Department of Defense and Veterans Affairs. So if you go to thewarhorse.org, you'll also see a lot of stuff about our book, Shooting Ghosts.
Okay. It looks like I have somebody who wants the book. So if you're listening right now, I can't hear you, but you hopefully can hear me. Let's say goodbye to our guests and go to the commercial, then we'll give away the book. Thomas James Brennan and Finbarr O'Reilly, thank you for your work. Thank you for your candidness and for taking time out of your day to be with us today. And good luck with the book. Congratulations on being #1.
Thanks, Larry.
Much.
All right, this is WOCA Ocala. We'll be right back.
But we don't run our lives about what happens on Twitter.
There are still people trying to get out of their homes, with 13,000 rescued so far. President Trump tweeting this morning, the U.S. has been talking to North Korea and paying them extortion money for 25 years. Talking is not the answer. The North Koreans conducted a missile test over Japan on Tuesday. Our Navy shot down a missile in a successful test off Hawaii today. Fox News, we report, you decide.
The final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event are here. Now through September 5th, save big on Ford SUVs like Escape, Edge, and Explorer with 0% financing for 72 months, plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Time is running out to save on America's best-selling brand. It's the last chance to get 0% financing for 72 months, plus $1,000 on top of your trade-in across a full lineup of Ford SUVs. Hurry, it's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event going on at your Ford dealer. Best selling based on 2016 sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade assist cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after delivery. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by September 5th, 2017.